close. But
But you know what else is close?
and kind of far away, So
Yeah. Well, our
so
next article or our first article is
first article
close.
is very close. In fact, it's right now, Mike. It's from Tom Warren over at The Verge. Um, if you don't keep track of gaming news, which don't blame you if you
Just follow
don't.
Tom Warren
I
on
mean,
Twitter.
yeah, that's step one,
Honestly.
right? Like follow him on Twitter, but also, there was a huge leak that came out of the Xbox camp that was unfortunate. Unfortunately, due to I think some file upload stuff and some kind of discrepancies with the courthouse to try and upload some confidential documents for the upcoming hearings for I guess the Activision Blizzard deal and whatnot. And yeah, unfortunately, there was a lot of very important internal info that ended up getting leaked out. There was a lot to comb through. We probably won't even get through all of it in the show, but it's
There's so much.
yeah. I mean, I recommend you go over to The Verge. I think The Verge has one of those they have one of those long kind of articles where it goes through each point that's come out and stuff like that. So it's like a timeline kind of article. I'd recommend checking that out. But there's a couple of main points that we wanted to cover. And the biggest one being that Microsoft is creating a new diskless Xbox Series X design with a lift-to-weight controller. This is kind of the next. This is, I guess, we would presume kind of the midlife cycle release, right? Kind of the refresh, the Series X. And it's got some interesting specs. Anyways, the FTC versus Microsoft documents revealed plans for a cylinder-shaped all-digital 2 terabyte Xbox Series X, plus a new two-tone controller, modular thumbsticks. Got some details to go through with all this. There's a nice little image, kind of the header image, discussing the refresh, but we'll discuss it as the article goes on. So Microsoft is planning to refresh its Series X console in 2024 with a all-new design and features. Codenamed Brooklin, the unannounced console refresh has been accidentally revealed in new FTC versus Microsoft documents this week. The new Xbox Series X design looks a lot more cylindrical than the existing console and will ship without a disk drive. Internal confidential Microsoft documents reveal it has 2 terabytes of storage, up from 1 terabyte, sorry. A USB-C front port with power delivery, and an all-new, more immersive controller. Yeah, this is, I guess, Sebile. I don't even know how to say. I didn't even look up how to pronounce it. I was going to say Sebile, but I don't know. Doesn't seem right.
Sebile's right.
Sebile. Say it like this. Anyway, this is the new Xbox controller. And it's it's an interesting design. I'll actually keep it in the lower thing here so everyone can see it. But the world's best controller now playing on a screen near you. So just initially looking at it, like I have to say, I feel like it could, at least for me, it could maybe fit better in my hands, and it could possibly feel like a Switch controller, like a Pro controller for the Switch. I don't know. I'd have to see it, I guess. I'd have to see like videos and stuff of it, but it almost seems like it's going for a kind of design like that, maybe a slightly kind of thinner, like grip design.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. I mean, it definitely reminds me of a Nintendo controller.
Yeah. There's a couple of points here. I don't think we extrapolate a bunch of details from, but one thing about this controller is it has a new proprietary technology, Xbox Wireless 2, which I'm assuming they would announce with the controller. It has direct to cloud capability, which I'm kind of curious as to like what that's gonna mean. Like if it's kind of like it connects like directly to the server and like you can control stuff on the server side. I wonder how that's gonna work. That's my assumption. I don't think it was at least from what I saw initially, and I could be wrong, they could explain it later, but I didn't see any initial documentation on direct to cloud. That's kind of my assumption, though, is they're trying to cut out the middleman there on the controller. It's got Bluetooth 5.2. It's got it's a seamless pair and switch, new mobile app features, C paired devices, and cloud managed devices and accessories. It's got the biggest thing, I think. It has a rechargeable and swappable battery. That's kind of something
That's kind of clutch.
Some Xbox controllers I feel like have needed for a very long time. So that's one of the
they had it for the
standout features.
360, by the way.
Yeah,
Xbox 360 wireless controllers had that for a while.
Yeah, I remember you could get like battery packs and stuff for them. But like the default controllers, it was just AA batteries. Like you just flip
Yeah,
two
true.
in and it's kind of thing. But now, obviously I think it's kind of that's gonna be default now, not to allow batteries. But yeah, another thing too, it's made out of recycled materials, less resin. It's supposed to be repair friendly and allowed disassembly, which is good news, I think. Right to repair almost kind of thing there. But key selling point, and I don't know if they got inspiration from Sony, but we got modular thumbsticks on this thing, Mike.
Yep.
Oh baby,
Yep. About time.
improved longevity, and continue build improvements. I'm curious to see how that system's gonna work. It doesn't seem like, I mean, I'm assuming it's easily swappable, but just from like this initial image, it's kind of like, are you just able to pull that thing out? Like, so like a button somewhere you got to press. I'm curious to see how it's gonna work. But it's nice to see removable thumbsticks. I feel like this should be kind of a norm, and we've seen it so many times with the DualSense Edge, and then all the like the eSwap Thrustmasters and stuff that you were using for a while.
PS5 Edge and Thrustmaster, and they're pretty much all going in the modular route now.
Yeah, it's a good thing to see. Another thing too, I noticed, and I may not be mentioned much. It does, this controller is supposed to have precision haptic feedback, so I'm hoping that's kind of similar to what Sony has in that department, trying to offer haptics with theirs. This is going to be an accelerometer of the controller. Apparently, the buttons and the thumbsticks are supposed to be quieter. Kind of a nice little feature there. Another one is lift awake, which I think it's kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of like cell phones nowadays, where it's kind of you lift it and it just knows like you're looking at your phone. So there's those features now. I almost am curious though. I kind of hope there's a way to turn that off, because I feel like that's going to be something that a lot of people may get annoyed by. It's like they're going to look at their controller and it just like flips on. But yeah,
The other one too is like what happens to me is I have a remote that works with my Xbox One, and I'll use like an actual physical remote, right?
Yeah.
Not a controller. And I'll use the remote, but like when I put it on my island or something like that, if you like bump into it, it'll wake up. There's like LEDs on it. I wonder if that could also be an issue for this controller. So like imagine that you like leave it on a table and vibration happens with the table some way somehow, and then it activates the controller, but the controller when activated or wakes up will wake up your console, you know? Because that's also a thing. You would hit the center button and it would wake up the console and it'd turn on.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting stuff here as well. They also it says it has the same ergonomics as Merlin, which I'm assuming is probably the previous controller. My assumption, I don't know.
Yeah.
Same layout,
like higher end.
Same layout and activation forces, and it says SELE XDL options as expected. Interesting stuff. Gonna get options with this thing, Mike?
Guess so.
Kind of crazy. The new controller codenamed Sebile is set to be announced early next year for $70, and will include an accelerometer, which should let you merrily lift it to wake the gamepad. It has two-tone controller scheme and will support direct connection to cloud, Bluetooth 5.2, and a presumably updated Xbox Wireless 2 connection. Microsoft also lists precision haptic feedback and VCA haptics double as speakers as specs for the controller. We'll also have quieter buttons and thumbsticks, rechargeable swappable batteries, modular thumbsticks. It's not clear if modular simply means that the joystick tops will be swapped, or if it's going to be like on the Elite controller or something fancier like what's on DualSense Edge. DualSense controllers prominently feature VCA haptics that can technically double as speakers. So yeah, it's kind of cool. They're kind of going with that sort of route on like kind of copying some of Sony stuff, I think.
I hope that's what they do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think you're just at that point you're just replacing the tips of the joysticks. You're not replacing the joysticks.
Yeah.
It's like the grip pad in a way.
Yeah. Which I look at that, I kind of like when I first saw it, I kind of feared it was probably just like, oh, lift the stick out and replace it with a concave or whatever. It's like yeah.
That's probably what's gonna happen. I would imagine so. I mean, that's what they did for the Elite controllers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll see, I guess, but yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, there a lot of the, haptic feedback I hope is decent. Whatever else, I think that's definitely some stuff they could take from Sony's department, and I would be welcomed. It's kind of catching up. It's sort of like Xbox, like with hardware software. It's like they've been so focused on software, but now they can maybe finally catch up on some of the hardware stuff that's like behind.
Right.
So it's always good to see that. Inside the new Xbox Series X design, Microsoft is also adding Wi-Fi 6E support, a Bluetooth 5.2 radio, and the company is shrinking its existing die to 6 nanometers for improved efficiency. The PSU power will be reduced by 15%, according to Microsoft's document. Microsoft is targeting the same $499 launch price as the Series X. There's a little timeline they include, kind of of how all this is gonna kind of pan out. Ideally expecting that June of next year, around there, maybe around the the A3 like Summer Games Fest cycles, kind of when the controller would launch, and then later that year you would get a 1 terabyte model, which this is called Elliewood, which I'm assuming is this kind of white console here. Let me get a 1 terabyte model of that launching at $299, and then later towards the holiday season, kind of around November, would be when the Brooklin launches with all these new features. And they kind of give some points too about it's kind of some talking points here about each one. It's interesting. I think it's interesting they're going with the 60-day plus separation between launches. It says enables dialogue with different audiences, which I think is kind of interesting. It's like they're separating it, but I don't know. Like, I feel like there may not be as much of a reason to. And it says, another point is would add value, I guess, to each one. Which, yeah, I guess so. It's kind of an interesting one. But yeah, so there's a couple points there about why they're launching that. I mean, altogether, this slideshow, which for some reason I can't even see it, but slideshow is there we go. Slideshow is set to be like, I mean, this thing is like 21 slides, something like that. It goes into a lot of detail, but yeah, it's for some reason not loading. I don't know. I sifted through like the whole slide deck, kind of just went through everything. There's a lot to take away from it. So just continuing on with some of the article. Microsoft lists a roadmap for this new Series X console controller alongside a refreshed Series S and 1 terabyte of storage. Microsoft just launched a refreshed Series S in black, but there could be another refresh on the way in 2024 with Wi-Fi 6E support and Bluetooth 5.2. Will also include the new Xbox controller. Console customization via Microsoft's Xbox Design Lab program was also mentioned under a list of goals that the company wants to achieve by 2030. Though we should note that according to the leaked documents, it isn't fully funded. A new Elite controller is discussed in the same section, which would presumably include the same updates as the main controller refresh. Microsoft is tentatively planning to launch this Series S for next September, Series X for November. And again, that's all laid out kind of in this document. So they're just kind of loading in here. I mean, this they go into a lot of numbers and stuff here, kind of breakdowns. Their 2030 goals, I think it's interesting to kind of see kind of where they want to be. They want to end up at 100 million Game Pass members. Could you imagine that, Mike? Having that many Game Pass members.
Kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, because there's so many gamers now, it's like 2030. I mean, 7 years. I don't know what they're at now, though. That's the problem.
I can't remember. I wanted to say it was like 20 or 25. So it was a lot, I think, before the price raise. I don't know.
So they're trying to like triple in less than 10 years?
Something like that. And they kind of they break down. I love how they break down kind of the market share of everything. Like they want like 7 billion in hardware. It's almost 17 billion transactions in other, 7.8 billion in subscriptions, 2.6 billion mobile transactions, 1.4 billion in advertising. God, man, these budgets are insane.
They're just scaled up so high.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I won't go through everything, but there's a lot of like kind of nuanced detail with each little thing. There was a couple of interesting. I wanted to go over. I'm gonna skip towards. Yeah, here's the Elliewood, kind of the refresh Series S. For a little bit more, I wanted to go. There was a. Okay, this was just funny. I want to stop. I want to stop at this slide for a second because they talk about the voice of the player. I think it's really interesting just seeing like this seems kind of corny. I ain't gonna lie. It's like they're talking about like loving the new storage options and refresh look at the Series X. But the real highlight is the new controller. Also new haptics, rechargeable battery, and I can connect it directly to the cloud. I don't know who quoted that, but that's a quote. And I'm assuming like a customer or an internal feedback or something like that. And they just show a picture of someone holding an Xbox controller. It's like the most generic stuff. But yeah, it kind of goes through and there's like multiple quotes don't know from where. It's like chords that they made
This
up.
just
I feel
seems
like.
like it's like an inside the business, like inside Xbox presentation to other Xbox employees.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be what it is,
At a
right?
high level, right?
Yeah,
Like the
it's got to be what
marketing
it is.
team making the pitch to like the head of accounting or something.
It's like Mike, like
Marketing.
you're like sitting at a presentation. It's like, how do you present this slide? You just go up and say, all right, everybody, this is some of the feedback we hope to expect whenever we launch kind of this rollout of the 2030 plan.
It's got to be like in-house beta testers, right? Like
you would
maybe
think,
I'm trying
right?
to
I
build a
mean,
bridge here.
yeah, it's strange. I mean, they talk about that. But again, like you're saying, this is kind of it's obviously an internal presentation, right?
Yeah.
To other kind of giving business information. This is pretty cool. Like they're talking about kind of the device lineups of each kind of item, some of the different features and whatnot. It's interesting to see that. And then they go into, different kind of budgeting related stuff. I thought this was the most interesting slide because this talks about some just off the wall things that when I read this, I was like, okay, that'd be kind of interesting. So they go through all of the projects that are funded right now in the Xbox division, all the projects that are not currently funded or resourced, and then kind of not in scope for first party, or kind of like this is like if we had time and we had, extra bandwidth, we could probably do it. It's really interesting. So they talk about cloud console Keystone, which is I think was kind of hinted at in the past, right? Like they're working on some sort of cloud console. And that's obviously funded. So like, I mean, we're definitely going to get a cloud console, I think, at some point, right? That's kind of the idea. Gen 10 investments, the mid-gen consoles, which we just talked about. Wireless headset 1.5 COS Park View is the code name. Wireless headset on the way. Of course, the core controller. It says QCOM Dawn module. I think it's like I just think Qualcomm when I see QCOM, but I think that's it's probably not what it means. But I think it's funny to see that. And then Xbox Design Lab will have the SELE for mid-gen controllers and stuff like that, kind of expanding that. But you get into kind of the not funded. This is where it gets interesting. There's an Elite controller, a luxury controller, whatever that means. What is Xbox trying to? Didn't make it a gold controller, Mike? Is this thing gonna be iced out?
Maybe diamonds. That'd be kind of cool.
Go kind of
like
go
for the
kind of hard, you know?
Yeah, for like celebrities or whatever, because more and more like people are playing games. Makes sense.
Dude, could you imagine if celebrities got their own controller? Could you imagine that?
Oh, I'm surprised they haven't yet. Like,
Right?
why wouldn't you? Like, if I guess Xbox would have to have like proprietary rights over one of their games to make it make sense. Like Formula One, maybe if they had some type of deal with Formula One or like PGA, I could see that happening.
I could be pretty sick. Yeah, it says customize console customization via Xbox Design Lab. That's kind of the kind of thing, and that'd be interesting to see. I think ability to kind of customize your console. I mean, we've seen that a little bit with like console skins they just recently announced, where it's like a wrap. You just like, and it's for your Series X.
Yeah,
you just kind of wrap it with this kind of thing. It's interesting. PC accessories. I'd be curious to see what kind of Xbox branded PC accessories would come out. I think that'd be kind of interesting. I thought one that was very odd to me, I think, was accessibility portfolio. And I don't know if they're trying to expand on their accessibility stuff, but like that's unfortunately not funded, which is something like I wish like you read that and you're kind of like, I wish I was funded, you know?
When they say accessibility portfolio and not like accessories, is that more games for accessibility?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or is it like their controllers? Because they have a bunch of accessibility controllers and ways to play certain games. They don't have a whole lot of games.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe like a higher emphasis on development accessibility or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good point.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they also talk about their repairability and sustainability progress, which I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit with the new controllers, kind of given that.
Yeah, that's
kind of ability.
Really good to see.
Yeah, new cloud server Blade. I mean, they're trying to stand up a whole new server or something like that. Like, oh, I don't know. Be interesting to see.
They definitely need a new server strictly for gaming. I'll tell you that right now.
Audio portfolio expansion, which I'm assuming, probably in the realm of, headsets or whatnot. But yeah, and then one of my favorites, the not in scope for first party earbuds. Could you imagine Microsoft earbuds? That's like what Sony's doing. And like, how people are reacting to that, right? It's like,
oh yeah, I could definitely see that, man. Like, if you think about it, when Xbox 360 first came out, they had those like really small, like in-ear earbud mics.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not like the wireless ones. That
Yeah.
totally makes sense. And then bringing back the media remote.
Yeah.
Dude, I still got a media remote for the 360 over here on like
Yeah.
sitting down.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, for people that use their consoles for things other than gaming, which is a lot of people,
Mhm.
right? I think a media
Oh
remote
yeah.
makes sense. If you're like trying to use it as like a home, a living room station, right, or something like that, makes sense. So, um, yeah, mobile controller, which like I feel like a backbone, right, or something like that. Like it's partnered with them.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like where a handheld could, well, not a handheld, but your phone or tablet or
yeah,
whatever can just hold it. That makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know if they'll scope for that. And then like a handheld, Xbox handheld. Do you like all the rumors and stuff over the years of like Xbox? Like, what if they made a PSP? Right? Like, or their version of like a PSP. Like, what would that have
That would
been
be
like?
so sick.
Yeah,
That'd be so sick. I mean, they should team up with if they were to do that, they should keep teaming up with Samsung. Samsung already has
yeah,
tablets. You can make controllers, just combine it.
yeah,
What's the problem, you know?
yeah. I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, some of those first party ones were ones that kind of stuck out to me. It's like, it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see that at some point. Like, if they could get around to it, it'd be kind of cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's interesting tidbits that came out of this PowerPoint. And you see the next steps here. You could tell it was like, they're presenting the business, right? Like, here's
Yeah.
how we move forward. Follow up with Phil and Tim on priorities and resources, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. And then you get thank you. Many languages, Mike. Go. Here's your
That's the
presentation.
most yeah, that's the most like Microsoft thing ever. And if you look at it, it kind of looks like the slides, at least the last one, is similar to an Xbox Series X on its side
Oh yeah,
in a
you're
way.
yeah, you're not wrong. It
Yeah.
is. You have the button and everything.
Microsoft, the kings of branding, I guess.
They're doing
Um,
something right, I have to say, Mike.
they are. Yeah,
Something right for
definitely.
sure.
Oh, you can actually, if you go to one of the slides, you can actually see what they're referring to when they mean mobile controller or
Oh,
one
okay.
hand controller. A little bit further up, I think. Oh, one slide down. Sorry.
Oh,
There you
okay,
go.
okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can see the cloud device. There's USB streaming through the cloud. Looks like
Nice. Yeah, so
high
see,
end PC. Let's go.
one hand controller? Yeah, that's kind of
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a guy out there that I think he's not on Etsy, he's on one of those like side tech spaces. I think I sent it to you. He modifies Xbox 360 controllers because apparently those are the easiest ones to modify for him. And he makes one-handed controllers.
yeah,
Like you can play any game you ever
yeah.
want just with this one-handed controller. It's
I
really
mean,
cool.
yeah. But it's like you can cut down circuit boards. Like when I was looking at like the modding stuff for like the Pocket Wii, like you can cut down a
Mhm.
Wii circuit, like the PCB of a Wii, you can cut down in a certain way that makes it so it fits in a handheld. It's crazy, man. Um, it's wild what you can do. But yeah, here's that premium controller. Like there you go. Even like a refreshed Elite, it looks like.
So it's just shiny, like okay. Just
it's,
kidding.
I look at that, dude.
Maybe it's made of like steel or like titanium or something.
That'd be kind of sick. It looks like carbon fiber like candles. You see this? You can kind of see it. It looks like almost like carbon fiber.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be actually pretty nice.
pretty sweet. I
Carbon
just look at
fiber
the shiny
controller. Just
though.
don't break it.
Like,
Splinter.
dude, this is the thing though, Mike. I look at shiny plastic on any electronic device, bro. Smear it. It's fingerprinted, dude. You can't. That thing is just you hold
Yeah.
it a certain way. It's just
Yeah, you're not
doesn't
wrong.
look as nice.
That's a
Um,
fact.
yeah, gaming keyboard and mouse. There you go. See some proprietary PC accessories there. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for pointing this out. I totally missed this. So yeah, that's kind of how the accessories and stuff will look.
Hmm.
Yeah, they even talk about, Game Pass subscriptions and how, it's cloud first versus PC only and consoles a major market share and how they're gonna that.
You know what's one thing that's definitely worth mentioning? Well, there's two things actually. First one is this is a leak, and Phil Spencer has come out and he actually said, "We're disappointed about the leak, but we're going to announce it when we're ready to announce it." So it's like all of this is still subject to change, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Or
definitely.
or some of it might not even be true, but it kind of highly likely that it's all true.
Yeah.
But the other thing to mention that I don't want us to skip over is how this is going to be diskless.
Yeah.
And that's gonna really stink for the people that collect games, like physical copies. I think Xbox and Microsoft have been going that route for a long time. Every time you get a disc, you download it to your game, and you have to put the disc in order to play it, right? And we've said how many times on this podcast, they're just trying to push cloud gaming in the end. They don't want anybody to have physical games anymore.
Yeah.
So
Which is also
I'm
kind
not.
of that can be kind of scary because it's like you have like the digital version of the game, right? But if you're just going to push to cloud gaming entirely, I mean, like you technically don't even own a copy of the game at that point, right?
Oh,
Because you're just
oh yeah,
streaming it. Like you're
that
buying a streaming right.
yeah, that's basically their goal. It's really unfortunate because now, like, this is the problem with Xbox. You can't play some of these games anymore unless you're connected to the server, which means that ever since the Xbox One came out, those games have to be connected to a server. So if you're not on the internet, you're not on something, you can't use them because they have to verify that that is a licensed game on their device. Now, there are ways to get around that, definitely, but for the average consumer, that's really it kind of sucks, man.
Yeah,
That's like one thing we got to
really does.
mention about Microsoft is like you buy the game, the physical copy, but then you download it to the hard drive, and now the console has to be online 24/7 in order for you to use it.
Yeah, and
It's
the
like
disc is just
what?
a key. It's a little glorified
Yeah,
key.
it's literally a key. Yeah, which what the hell?
Yeah,
You know, what if you scratch
it's
your key?
yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I mean, that sucks, but it's like gone are the days of you have like a cart or you have like the little GameCube disc, and that's your whole game on there, and you don't have to worry about downloading anything. It's
At
long
least
gone,
for
but
Xbox and PlayStation, dude. Nintendo has not abandoned that model yet.
it's true. Yeah,
So
they have not,
we're okay
and
there. That's why you should always buy Nintendo games right
yeah,
there and collect them
yeah,
because
for
they
real.
only make them for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So
And also, I mean, another point, to play devil's advocate a little bit. I mean, the size of games are getting so big now, Mike. Like you're talking about the new Final Fantasy game is 2 discs on a PS5, like
yeah, that's true.
getting massive, and I feel like they're
Yeah,
just gonna get bigger, especially with higher textures and reses. Yeah,
you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
it's
Well,
crazy. But
how do you feel about the leaks overall? I know we got another article coming up
sure
where
do.
we do mention another leak. Uh, but how do you feel about this one?
Man, it's
You excited about the new console?
I mean, it's cool to see. I mean, personally, am I going to get a new Xbox? I mean, at this point, no, with PC and everything. Like, there's no
Mhm.
incentive for me to get new hardware. The cylinder design, very Apple-esque, like that Apple
Yes, I
Mac
was.
Pro
Yeah.
trash can design, like, for lack of a
Yep.
better term. Um,
It also looks like the Spectrum or AT&T routers,
yeah,
the big like round ones and stuff.
yeah,
At
yeah,
least it's not like an ugly color. They're just trying to go like black, small, put it off in the corner kind of
yeah.
thing.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for creative designs on hardware, right? I mean, that's what that's what made gaming consoles so interesting is their design. I mean, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about like from the old to the new. I mean, arguably Xbox is, until the Series X, they were kind of just like the 360 was kind of and even the Xbox One was a very plain design, right? Like it's like a set on its side, and like that's how it's meant.
Yeah.
It just kind of sits, looks like a DVR set top box. Like doesn't look very interesting. Series X came out. It's a tall, like square cube rectangle that you just
True.
sit on your desk. Like that's pretty cool to see. Um, I'm for a cylinder design. I think it's interesting. I will say though, I mean, I'll be interesting to see like how thermals and stuff work because remember that was like an issue with Apple's Mac Pro design,
Yeah.
right? It was feeding issues.
That's
So
true.
it's like all right, we'll
And
see how
everything
they
in
do
this
it.
seems like it's going to be more powerful too.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we will for sure see. It's interesting too. The Series S design. I mean, it looks like the refresh looks the exact same, like in terms of how the
Yeah.
externals. So very interesting to see that. New controller is really cool to see. I like a refresh. I like the new features with that. Dude, I mean, this thing, Mike. We're not even done with the leaks, and we have more to cover later on this episode. But I mean,
There's so many, dude.
there is a lot that leaked. Like this is bad because there's so much that leaked, and Phil Spencer pretty much saying like, I mean, yeah, those were our documents. Like they're not fake. Like
Yeah, it's like
and I was like,
there was
"Oh."
so much of them. There's nothing you can really say or do. It's just
Yeah.
like, what are we gonna do? Deny like the entire front page of all gaming news?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, it's like that
might
too.
be the biggest leak ever in terms of
Really.
gaming.
And like I think what really sucks too is the amount of emails and stuff that leaked. And it's like, yeah, Sure. I mean, it could show true colors for some people, but I think it's interesting to see. I mean, at least the ones I've seen from Phil up until this point have been like kind of like it's like yeah, that's Phil Spencer, right? Like he's not
Yeah, like
he's not talking ish. He's not.
it just if anything, it made Phil look good. I saw one tweet that was actually hilarious. It's like, so everything's blowing up, right? And
Yeah.
all these things are getting leaked by Xbox, including his emails and his private conversations with his employees or colleagues and clients and stuff. And somebody took a screenshot of Phil Spencer on his Xbox P3 account or whatever, playing Starfield for the last 2 hours. It's like Xbox is blown up, and he's just like, "I'm gonna go to my happy place." You know what I mean?
So yeah, it's so funny. I think the craziest thing I saw of Phil Spencer was there was an email where he was discussing with like higher ups in business about like the PS5 like reveal, like the spec reveal they had like whenever the pandemic kind of started. And like he was just kind of like the biggest thing was like he's like, yeah, I'm not stressed anymore and I'm not worried. Like I think we have the better console. Like I'm not at all worried. Like
well, he said, yeah, he bought it too right when it came out to
Yeah.
give it a shot.
Yeah, he's like I saw that and I'm not at all worried. I thought that was funny. That's like the closest he got to like trying to dunk on PlayStation or anything. So
one of the wild ones that I saw too, man, is I think I saw one of the emails he said that he would be willing to look into buying Nintendo,
yeah,
saying
yeah,
that would be a
interesting.
smart acquisition. It's like, jeez. It's like this man just went out and bought Activision Blizzard, and he's like, "I got Nintendo next, baby."
We said
Nintendo's
he said too.
never selling, bro.
Yeah, I think he even said too. Like for him, he feels like it would be a career move. Like if he went out and bought Nintendo, that would be like that's peak.
That would be
that's pinnacle, bro. Like you buy that,
dude.
that
You retire off of that.
Yeah, it's like all right, I've done it all. Like, it'd be insane, man. It's one of those things that I don't feel like will ever happen. But I mean,
no,
we didn't think Activision Blizzard was
can't.
Gonna get,
we can't say never, right?
Yeah,
it's just
so otherworldly. I don't know. It's like I can't imagine it.
It may sound weird, but I don't want Nintendo to be bought out by Microsoft or Sony.
I hope they stick to their guns. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of there too.
Like Nintendo is not the perfect company. Let's get that out of there, right?
Yeah.
Like they got some skeletons in their closet for sure. But I just think what they got going on in terms of like couch gaming is unprecedented, man. Yeah. It's like they got my childhood by like a chokehold.
I mean, yeah.
Like I can't do anything about it.
I mean, yeah, it's the ultimate party games, right? So I mean,
it is. Yeah.
Can't be.
It's just that the Switch is goated, man. I don't care what anybody says about the graphics and what it looks like on Mortal Kombat 1 right now.
Yeah, and all the Switch.
It's awesome, dude.
I mean, you've heard about like the Switch 2 leaks and stuff like that, talking about like, you know, it's of a power same as like, you know, PS4 and Xbox One and stuff like that. And it's just like, I mean, dude, it's still gonna do crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really gonna matter. I don't know. I'm excited to hear about the Switch 2 though. I think it'll be interesting, kind of their next iteration.
Yes, sir. Well, we talked about this story a little bit longer than I was expecting.